Luke McGrath, you know what? It's been great having you as a member of One Life Club. It's great to see your contribution to our community, and always gets me excited when we actually have our new members that have so much to offer. Obviously we all there to learn from each other as well, but you always go out of your way as well to contribute to growth of our community. So thank you, Luke. Luke, tell us who Luke is. Tell us who Luke is and what does Luke do for a living?
Yeah, thanks. Firstly, I think the One Life community is amazing. That community Facebook or page is really great. So firstly, I think I've come into this place where I feel like I'm a bit of a junior when it comes to like the business aspect. So being around these like-minded people, you guys obviously, but even just the other members seem like they're sort of streets ahead of where I am. So just being able to learn and bounce different ideas and things from them is a massive win for me as well. But me personally, I'm actually a pharmacist by trade. And so I've kind of gotten out of the community pharmacy space, a couple of years ago now, but I kind of looked at the community pharmacy and medication aspect of things. I'm very health conscious, I guess I would say. Like I like to keep fit and eat healthy and probably limit alcohol consumption most of the time. Still pretty fun, but yeah, I don't consume much alcohol. So health conscious, but being a pharmacist sort of opened my eyes to a lot of things when it came to like the pharmaceutical industry, community pharmacy, hospital pharmacy. I've always had like this business mindset, a critical thinking sort of brain, thinking bigger picture, where I always felt that community pharmacy mindset was just very small business, local environment, where that didn't really suit for me. So I kind of got away from traditional pharmacy. And I think what pushed me down that route was I was in business from age 17 when I started a lawn mowing business. But even back then I was doing things differently in the fact that I didn't want to just mow the next door neighbor's place. I was reaching out to these commercial companies and doing $1,000 lawns where people were doing $50 lawns. So I was doing those sorts of things a little bit differently all the way from back then. And that sort of followed me right through, I think, to where we are now. So
I think at that age, Luke, is so crucial when you are, for example, 17, because you're learning not just work ethics, you're learning how to communicate with people, how to negotiate with them. So all of those little things you were doing at 17 years old has shaped you to do what you do today.
Yeah, totally. And I think like you guys always talk about everybody's sort of in sales in some capacity. Doesn't matter what business you're in, life almost is about selling yourself, selling your ideas to somebody. And so being in that mindset from early on where I was, as you said, negotiating deals and things with businesses, with almost B2B all the way back then. But yeah, it definitely was eye-opening. And I think that set me up for where we are now in business, and loving the fact that I've got that experience, whether it's, specific or not, in sales. Even working from Bunnings back at high school, you're in sales back then. So being able to just communicate and have conversations with people, I think is a skill that is invaluable. And a lot of people these days don't really have it.
And specifically, I think, I remember when I was growing up, we obviously didn't have, phones and iPads when I was, young. And I'm 44 now. So, you had to communicate, starting from kids at school, starting from family members and mom and dad when you're home. And when you finish school, when you do your homework, you run out on the street and you play with other kids. So you're constantly communicating with people all the time. But now, for example, I don't have kids, but a lot of my friends have kids, when they get home, kids are on the iPads, and, so that communication is just starting to wear off a little bit as well. And I think for any young individual, two crucial parts for them is work ethic, and I think from young age, doesn't matter if you go and mow your neighbor's lawn, or if you go and wash neighbor's car. So whatever it is, that you can actually start getting into that routine of, what, that's a job, we gotta start, gotta finish it. I think it's very healthy for any young individual, but communication skills, being able to communicate with anybody, better you can communicate, better you can sell in the future, because everything, not everything is about the sales, but huge part is when you're running your company, when you start employing people, you are selling yourself and your company to potential people that will work for you, because any individual, they want to work in a safe environment, fun environment, where they have a good CEO, director that's friendly, they can approach. So everything is about sales, starting from the people that you're going to be leading, not to mention people you're going to be doing business tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Like work ethic for me is one of the biggest standouts. I came from a family of hard workers. I'm the first one in my family to have a degree, but because I had the degree, now sort of came the responsibility and have to sort of relearn that whole rich dad, poor dad type scenario where, work hard, earn lots of money, save your money, buy your house, live in it, live happily ever after. That's sort of no longer the norm. But it's probably the culture and the environment that I was brought up in. So trying to relearn those types of things and be more entrepreneurial and business minded, I think has been a big shift and big focus for me. But it's nice to have that work ethic in the background. It's like no one's going to outwork me kind of thing.
Well, let me tell you, you can be the most talented person in the world. If you're lazy, you can throw the talent away instantly. We employ a lot of people in our business, and I tell you one thing: work ethic can beat talent any day of the week. Any day of the week, if you have that hunger to do well in your life, everything else is really relevant. But you can know everything in this world. If you don't have that grunt to work hard or discipline to get up every day, everything's relevant.
Well, I think that sort of stood out to me a lot in my pharmacy short stint that I had when I quickly realized it wasn't for me, was that I went through uni with these super smart individuals, like textbook smart people, but they couldn't communicate it to anybody. And so when you go down the medical field, it's like you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't communicate that to somebody else, then your knowledge is kind of pointless. So you've got to have a bit of a understanding of both aspects. You've got to be able to communicate, but you've also got to have the knowledge. And so that's sort of been a focus for me moving into our own sort of business now, independent med management, in the fact that, now we are employing people. So yes, we've got to sell our business, like you were saying, to different people to come and work for us. We've got to sell our product and our services to potential clients. We've got to sell the problem. People don't even know this problem kind of exists in the space that we're sort of marketing to. So even just having the ability to look at things from other people's perspective, I think is a big part of what we do. But that in itself, I think, is being lost.
Such a specific niche of the business.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are. And it's hard to even explain to a lot of people because, if you're not in the insurance space, you've kind of got no idea what we really do. But I guess the whole thing stemmed from the fact that when I was working as a pharmacist and I was also working as a medical rep at the same time, and I don't know whether you've seen Dope Sick or not. It's actually a documentary or a docuseries from the States. And what it was, Purdue was a company that created kind of this opioid crisis, in short, over in the States. What was happening was I was actually working for a subsidiary of that company in Australia. And so I was seeing these sort of things sort of roll out in real time in what we were doing. And because I was a pharmacist, but I guess an aware pharmacist, I kind of had to sit back and look at things a little bit more broadly. And so I was actually working as a pharmacist doing independent reviews for a company that does something similar to what we do. And they were the first of its kind in Australia. And so I was one of their first consulting pharmacists. So I was actually outwardly promoting opioid prescribing as a medical rep in the sales industry over here. And on the other hand, actively promoting de-prescribing of opioids over here because we could see the issues that were sort of unfolding in the States and what was happening in this workers' comp and CTP space. So I really had to sort of draw a line in the sand and be like, okay, where are we going to go with this? And where's my career projection going? And that's sort of how IMM, Independent Med Management, came about. So my partner now, which is kind of cool, teaming up with you guys, but Simon and today having that partnership going on there. So it's very similar dynamics, I guess.
You work with your partner as well.
Yeah. And we kind of started the business together as well. So
same with myself.
Same with you too. Yeah.
Giselle and I are the same, and obviously Simon and Tani, and
I only mentioned Giselle last week. So I think that's a really interesting dynamic, and it's perfect fit for us, or me specifically, with One Life Club, that you guys are doing exactly this.
And I don't think every couple can work together. No. And I think we all want different things in life, right? But when you can find somebody that's got the same vision, same interest. Some people want to run a business and work 30 minutes a day, and when I run a cruisy business. But when you're constantly trying to grow and come up with different ideas, and you're growing, you're hiring people, you're expanding, and it takes a special couple to survive the growth. I always say, it's a lot of people establish a business, turnover, and they kind of pick how big turnover do they actually want to have in a business, and how much work they're going to take on. But when you're constantly growing, you have to have a special partner that can understand your vision, that can understand, what the end goal is, and be with you all in.
The whole way. Totally agree. And I think I've certainly found that with my partner, Taylor, in the fact that we both hustle hard. We're both hard workers. She's probably got even greater work ethic than even I do, which is pretty rare, especially in a partner. So I think we've created something pretty special doing what we're doing. But I guess the end goal is to revolutionize the prescribing patterns that we're seeing in workers' comp and CTP, which is just, for people outside of the medical industry, is going a bit rampant, and it is going towards what we're seeing in the US. So being only one of two providers in Australia doing what we're doing, it's an untapped kind of market for us, and room for huge growth, I think.
What's the plan for next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, well, actually, after our initial meet and greet at Simon's place, it did get me thinking about, like...
Did you enjoy the ice bath and cryo?
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. I see you're putting a cryo in at your place now.
Yeah, Simon convinced me to put a cryo, and when he told me how expensive it is, I was like, are you serious? And then he came back to me, he said, are you really putting value on your health? I was like,
that's okay, right.
You spend millions of dollars on the cars, and now you're complaining about,
a couple of $100,000
that's gonna make you be healthier and better. I was like, okay, I'll just be quiet. And
it's good.
Now Simon, a son, and myself, we actually started a business together where we are importing
them. I saw that only today.
Yeah, we couldn't help ourselves. Like,
I'll come see you in a couple of years, but it's out of my price range at the moment.
But it's he got to me. But I think that day was really special. You just mentioning day, because it's so cool meeting everybody in person as well. And I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I loved the day. I said from the start, I'm health conscious. I love ice baths and saunas and all those sorts of things. I had actually never done the cryotherapy though, so it was actually a new experience to do the cryo, which I really enjoyed. I love all that sort of stuff, and working out. The workout, even though it was hot and sunny on the tennis court, but even just being around you guys and being in that environment was motivation enough as well, let alone having the ability to brainstorm and coach and do the emotional and energy management workshop and goal setting and stuff. I think was really good. But from that day, a 5-year plan was never really that big for me. I was really only doing the next sort of 12 months. I kind of had a 5-year plan in my mind, but never really written down as such. I just knew that we wanted to grow big. I didn't want to create a job for myself, because I could just go and work for somebody else. If that's the case, I'll come and sell real estate for you, and
it'll be less stress. Less stress.
That's right, exactly. But yeah, the intention was to never create a job for ourselves, but do something bigger. So change the prescribing that we're seeing in an industry. And I think when you've got bigger goals like that, that the short to medium goals start to fall into place a little bit better. Obviously growth and everything like that with monetary figures and all that sort of stuff, that's great to have for a 5-year projection. And looking at brokerages and things to look at either exit strategy, or from that day thinking, if we do explore an exit strategy or a brokerage, to see what we could get for a company doing what we're doing at 3 years or at 5 years. If nothing else, it sets us up to have a clean business and we're running well, that it is then viable for somebody to come and, acquire what we're doing in such a niche space. So that's certainly something that's probably in the 5-year plan for us now.
I think it's important to have, I used to always say, and still to this day, I have a massive vision, like, long-term vision. And a lot of people, they are so focused on short-term goals, which I understand as well. I always say I have a long vision and long-term goals broken into little goals so I can achieve that, right? But I'll tell you something that I've learned about Japanese culture. Japan's oldest company, oldest business, is more than 500 years old.
Wow.
Japan has 50,000 businesses that are over 100 years old.
Wow.
In Japan, short-term thinking is 30 years. Normally short-term thinking, you're talking about 6 months or 3 months or 12 months.
Exactly.
And the reason why they do it, which is really fascinating, in Japan, when the kids finish school, uni or whatever they do, they want kids to come back and work in the family business. Reason why? Because they want to, fathers or moms want to spend time with their kids. Now, where do your mom and dad live if they're alive?
Yeah, they're in New South Wales, Singleton, just inland from Newcastle.
How often do you see them?
Probably more than most, which is nice. I would say every 2 months.
Still only 6 times a year, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Most people maybe do it once a year. I got one of my employees here. His mom and dad live in Bundaberg, and he sees them once a year, and they're like 70 years old. And he goes to me, the sad part is I'm only going to see my mom and dad another 10, 15 times in my life. When you think about it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in Japan, what they do, they would have 3 generations would work in a company.
Yeah.
They do that, so you can actually be closer to their family. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you this story, but I find it fascinating and inspiring.
Yeah, I think family business is great, but I definitely couldn't be in business with my family, I don't think, which is fine. I don't think a lot of people can, but
I think
around them is...
I think we all can be in business with a family, but as long as each family member understands where their place in the business is.
Yeah, true.
What I mean? Like my father, his place in the business is just be a good dad to me. That gives me enough mental support for me to look after the entire family. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we all have a different strength, So they don't have to be physically into business.
Yeah, totally. It is one of the motivating factors for me, though, is to be able to be successful and wealthy enough to be able to give back to my family. That is a huge motivator for me. I've been pretty well supported through.
You heard me on the phone before trying to organize stuff for my little nephew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get family. Without kids, I also don't have kids, but my sister has kids, and I'm only from a small family. I've only got one sister and mum and dad, both still alive, thankfully. So I certainly understand family, but because I've been supported throughout my entirety, still I would say self-made, but I kind of still had that subconscious backing in my mind to be like, well, if something did go wrong, I'd be supported somehow, whether that meant I could live at mum and dad's for a period of time or whatever it might be. Thankfully, that never had to happen, but it is still in the back of your mind. A lot of people don't get that support to say, like, if they stuff up, then they've got that backstop to sort of get them back on the road again. So I've been supported in that way, I would say, through my sort of journey. So to be able to give back to them, I think would be a pretty big win for me in business. And I think that is a bit of a motivator for me, for sure.
It's massive, you know, and even for me, you know, to be able to retire my mom and dad and look after them and employ family members. My brother works for me as well. And that makes me happy knowing that, you know, him and his family are safe and looked after. So it's been good talking to you. It's been good learning about your journey as well. And it's so, you know what, I keep saying, I even have, you know, my team here, Gemma and Naomi, they said, oh my God, we love our One Life Club community. We feels like everybody's like family member now. And it's so good to see that, you know, I feel like everybody's becoming part of a little One Life community family that, you know, people are giving their opinions and inspiring each other and lifting each other up. And you're definitely a good part of the crew, Luke. So look forward to, you know, spending a lot more time with you, you know, in person as well. And it's epic to get to know you even more. And I look forward to another event and seeing you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. I was bummed I missed Simon's one yesterday, last minute meeting, but I did see the recording come up today, so I'll watch that tonight.
Yes. I was going to say we did put a recording up as well. That was really epic as well, to be honest. You will really enjoy it. Nice. Tomorrow I highly recommend because
I've freed up the time for yours.
Tomorrow will be epic. You'll enjoy that. But it's been a pleasure talking once again.
Love it. Appreciate it. Thanks, Emil.
Everybody, take it easy.
Talk soon. Cheers. Bye.